Now, what's really fascinating about this is that I think a lot of people perhaps assumed Pope Benedict had some kind of conversion, particularly those maybe who would have read your book on the Second Vatican Council, because it comes out that Pope Benedict, as Father Ratzinger and Cardinal Ratzinger later, but he was a pivotal figure in the Second Vatican Council who was one of the ones primarily responsible even for getting rid of the schema, the old documents that were prepared, that were excellent for the Second Vatican Council, thrown out, and then they come back with very, as you note in your book, ambiguous kind of documents, which now have greatly harmed the church because they were made ambiguous and allowed all sorts of confusion because of the documents of Vatican II being so ambiguous. So if you could comment on that.
Yes, you're right, but perhaps it is too much to speak of a conversion. Of course, there was a change in his attitude, because, as you said, Cardinal, he was not a cardinal, but the young theologian Joseph Ratzinger, who assisted the Cardinal Frings, was among the more engaged theologians, progressive theologians in Vatican II. With Karl Rahner, Henri de Lubac, and others. And so he gave an important contribution to Vatican II. But something changed after Vatican II. I mean that there was a fracture, a division inside the progressive front between a more radical wing and a more moderate wing. And so the more radical theologians were Karl Rahner, Yves-Marie Chenu, Schillebeck, and others. On the opposite side, there were Joseph Ratzinger, Urs von Balthasar, Henri de Lubac. These theologians, the last theologians, founded the review Communio, which was opposite to the progressive review Concilium. And the theologians of Concilium followed the so-called School of Bologna of Giuseppe Alberigo. And for them, the Vatican II had to be a revolution inside the Church. On the contrary, for Joseph Ratzinger and the other theologians of Communio, they interpreted Vatican II in continuity with the tradition of the Church. And so there was the birth of the so-called hermeneutic of continuity. And of course, Cardinal Ratzinger was the more prominent representative of this new theology, the hermeneutic of continuity. And when he became prefect of the Congregation of the Faith, we have to remind that he was the author of the new Catechism of the Church. The Catechism is signed by John Paul II, but the real author, we know, is Cardinal Ratzinger. And he was also the author of this report on the faith with interview with Vittorio Messori, which is also very important because it gives the idea. We remember also during his period as prefect of the Congregation of the Faith, the condemnation of the theology of the liberation and many other things. So he was accused to be a traitor, a betrayer by the more progressive representative of the Bologna's school. But in fact, there was a certain coherence in his attitude. So perhaps more than a conversion, I would speak of a development of this position.